Good morning, Alex. Good morning, Felipe.
Morning.
Good morning.
Some time ago, the three of us, we have recorded a podcast on labels, something that we thought could be boring, but finally resulted in a very exciting and, in fact, very funny exercise. And today we are going to be exploring a totally different market opportunity. Every one of our partners is using printers, tabletop, industrial, mobile, you name them. But I am sure not everyone knows how to get the best of them. Yes, you can be more efficient, and most important, you can be adding a great value add to your customers if you know how to save time and money with a modern printer management tool. And Alex Holdsworth is an expert on this. He is the regional product manager at Zebra EMEA, and my colleague Felipe Neves has been supporting this technology within Blue Star for years as EMEA brand manager. So welcome. And I think the first question is very simple. Alex, we all know what a printer does. So why may you want to manage your printer?
Perfect. Thank you for having me. And it's a brilliant question. So I guess the best way to address this is by kind of taking it back. So you've got one printer. How would you manage that one printer? Maybe you'd connect your computer to it and you'd just send them labels just like that. Nice and simple with one printer.
Correct.
Let's make it more difficult. Now you've got 10 printers. You could probably still go from each printer to printer with your computer and set them up and send labels to them.
Yeah.
A little bit more difficult, but it's still possible with 10 printers. It would just take a little bit more time. But how about if you have 1,000 printers now, or several thousand printers?
Spread.
You don't want to have one person going through every single printer, manually trying to set them up, putting the correct settings on there, sending them label commands. It's just going to be too difficult. So this is where printer management comes in. Is you could have a fully remote printer management solution, and you can control them. And you can do this fully remotely, so you don't have to be there physically with the printers. And it's just a way of dealing with large numbers of printers, or even small numbers of printers as well for small and medium-sized businesses. That's the beauty of printer management. You can manage one printer on it, you can manage thousands of printers on it. I guess another way of looking at it is different office sizes. If you've got an organization that have one office or one warehouse with printers, that could be fairly easy to manage. You have one IT team that are looking after the printers. But then if you have tens of offices, then do you have several IT teams, or do you have one IT team that have to go to all these locations? A bit more challenging, isn't it? What about if all these offices are in different countries? Then it becomes really challenging. So I think the best way to address printer management is it's an easy way to manage lots of printers with kind of taking into account costs and time saving and just all those different factors. So the kind of opportunities are endless with this. It's a very exciting area.
Yeah, we will confront you later with your word that you just mentioned. Easy. It's an easy way. Let's see how easy is that.
Yeah, but this is something that we know since a long time. Everyone is using that. The question is why this is new. We hear this kind of speech from every single printer and software manufacturer. So I'm interested in understanding how the market leader see that evolution.
That's a brilliant question. Very simply, there are more printers than ever before. Organizations previously maybe would have just had one printer do every single functionality, whereas now they're actually investing into more printers because they're seeing the return on investment that having more printers can bring them. More printers are networked than ever before. Previously, it wasn't essential to have a printer network to the kind of internet and the wider IT system, whereas now it's an essential thing. So more printers are being networked, so it's easier to manage them. You've done the hard work already. And there's just more focus on things like security and keeping your printers online at the moment now. Hackers are targeting printers out there in the kind of the ecosystem with various different things. Being able to kind of manage them securely is essential now. So organizations, just from all those perspectives, means printer management is kind of more important than ever.
That's a very good point what you mentioned, because I mean we see very often that the printers are the door which is widely open, for the hackers to be used as the entrance to the system, right? So they are using this. So how can you be a little bit more protected, in this area?
Oh, I think very simply, almost use your phone as an example.
Yep.
Your phone has routine kind of software updates that fix bugs. It has more security updates. new security breaches are kind of made aware in the market.
Yeah.
So then your clever IT people can fix these things. It's the same with a printer.
No. The reason why I'm saying this is, I mean, I like the example because how many of us is using a kind of defense, in our mobile print, in our mobile phones, in our mobile terminals, I mean, almost no one is using that, and that's one of the biggest dangers that we have. So, and printers sometimes in the complete, let's say, IT infrastructure of a company are sometimes not being, say, taken into consideration when we are talking about security.
Security enough.
Yeah, the amount of times people forget to secure the printer.
Yep.
Yeah.
They put so much software onto their computers, their mobile devices, physical security with all the kind of fobs to kind of get into the building, but they kind of just go, oh, the printer, we will leave the printer, and then just like that, the hacker kind of finds a way into the system via the printer. So I'd say security is always going to be a big issue, and in the coming years it's going to only be a bigger issue.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the many benefits of using a printer management software.
Correct. So
Yeah, but this is all these kind of features that a management printer can offer. It's very similar to the MPS, to managed print services.
yeah, I was going to say the same.
Where you can monitor the printer spark, you can check the status of a single printer, batteries, performance, etc. No matter where the printer is connected or is placed. So, what are the difference between these two kind of let's say services?
Yeah, I think it is a topic that there is a kind of lot of overlaps. There's a kind of bit of a grey area of what is printer management and what is managed print service. In my opinion, I would say printer management is more the kind of day-to-day managing of the printer, the firmware, the Wi-Fi certificates, the checking errors, bugs, which printers are up and running. Whereas managed print service, in my opinion, is more the kind of discovery of the printers, generating reports about the printers, learning which printers are in your IT kind of infrastructure, and then automating processes like delivering supplies when the printers maybe run out of media. So there's definitely some overlap areas. There's things you can do on both of these things, but for the kind of printer management side of things, it's that kind of more general deep dive management which we're going to be focusing on today, and I think in the podcast.
Yeah, that's a good question, Felipe, because I think most of our customers, especially if we go to the SMB, the small companies in the corner, the medium companies, sometimes they are going to be seeing the the management of a printer, in the same level of an MPS, so maybe we should make another podcast, right?
Why
on
not?
MPS,
I think
so
I think
maybe we dare you to be there,
yeah.
right?
A lot of stuff to talk about that. For
Absolutely.
Sure.
So, and most important, more than stuff to talk, is really to discover a good market opportunity, because that's also a good market opportunity. But let's dive a little bit deeper, into the management, the printer management. So now we know that those are two different things, and then what I would like to understand clearly from you is what are the benefits of using that tool.
So we've talked about the security breaches already. With printer management, you can prevent these security breaches. You can reduce the maintenance costs. Maintaining printers are obviously going to have costs associated with them. For example, you're going to have your IT people manually, otherwise putting firmware, the latest settings on them, loading them with supplies, knowing which one's up, which ones are offline. That all has costs associated with it. Deployment time. So say if you have an organization with 1,000 printers, for example, or hundreds of printers, you don't want to have one poor person going through every single printer going, right, it needs to be this print speed, it needs to print labels in this way, it needs to have this firmware on. Printer management can mean you can automatically deploy it all in one go. You can just say, right, I want this speed, this firmware on all the printers in one go. You push it out, and then just like that, all your printers are magically deployed all in one go. You can reduce the downtime. You can see in advance when errors are going to occur, and maybe try and get them to be prevented or minimize the downtime in advance of them happening.
Yeah.
For example, you can see battery life. You can see that the battery of these printers are about to run out, and you can get those batteries replaced before they go down, and it maybe ruins a whole production line or whole kind of workflow. You can diagnose issues faster. You can see stuff that is going to go wrong, and you can fix them as quickly as possible.
Diagnose also means prevention, and I think prevention is a key element here, because then you can also probably reduce your costs, and also the interventions, if you have a proper diagnosis, which you can do through the printer management.
Absolutely, I think that's essential. You need to know what is going wrong with the printer, and sometimes that can take absolutely ages to work out. You go, why are these printers not working, but these ones are working? And if you diagnose them using printer management, you can say, all the printers here, they've had their Wi-Fi certificate run out, or they've got the incorrect firmware on. And just like that, you can see, okay, perfect. Well, these printers have the incorrect firmware. We can use printer management to put the correct firmware on the printers. And just like that, you've diagnosed it way quicker than maybe otherwise. I look on the other side, we would have had to gone through every single faulty printer individually and run some bugs and what's going wrong with these printers. And that could have taken hours, if not days. And just think about the costs associated with that. If none of your printers are working, you can't ship packages, for example, and then your organization's not making money. So the amount of almost time and support you can gain back here by doing that, it's just huge. Really, really.
It's again about cost and time efficiency. That's it.
So, right. So having a full remote control of the printers means probably a great saving time in on-site configurations and troubleshooting. So I believe this is certainly a key factor to push this kind of solution, right?
Oh, completely. If you use the IT kind of team as an example of, again, if you've got an organization with lots of different offices in lots of different countries, they don't have to be there physically to set up the printer every single time or troubleshoot the printers. You can have one central team remotely manage to print all the printers in an organization. I think it doesn't take much to see that workforces are becoming more global. And now there's no need to rely on a local tech support team in every single country that you're maybe operating in. You have one central team that can do it. And with labour shortages probably being at a record high at the moment.
Yeah, in the UK you are one of those. So you are, because really we are not talking about replacing people by machines.
Obviously.
In this case, no, but we could be talking about that.
Yeah,
it's more efficient.
That could be an idea.
But
yeah.
this is the angle I like, because it's not. We're not talking about, hey, you want to replace a person by a machine. No, the question is we don't have enough people to take care of certain actions. So this is a tool who comes not to replace anyone, but really to make a job which needs to be done. But nobody's doing it, right? So in the UK you have especially a special situation, right?
Yeah, well, I think labour shortages is a massive issue across the board at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And looking after thermal printers is obviously not going to be the simplest thing. It's going to be almost a specialist. You need to be trained up in how to work with these printers. I think in the UK we've got a record 1.2 million job vacancies in the 3 months. I think it was back in 2021 when they did this report, which is absolutely essential. Companies are craving more workers to be able to do these jobs. But if you have something like printer management, it only takes out kind of one or that smaller team to be able to manage all the printers in your field. And just like that, you don't need to worry about labour shortages as much because you've just found a much easier way of dealing with the problem rather than hiring lots of people, which might be quite a difficult, lengthy task.
But also automating these processes means that, the number of errors that you can, deal with, is much, much smaller.
Absolutely. Your IT team are going to be delighted to hear that all these workflows are going to be automated.
Let's call someone from IT. Let's see what they think.
When you're telling them that you've got a way of automating the jobs that they did before, they'll be like, that's brilliant. That saves them time and they can focus on fixing other things, maybe like your laptop breaking. So it just gives them a lot more time back into doing the jobs that they need to do rather than the kind of day-to-day admin life of dealing with printers.
Absolutely.
So we've been talking about the benefits of this printer management solution. Then now I would like to talk more in details of existing solutions that are on the market and what any reseller or system integrator can find to implement these kind of solutions.
Okay. So I guess when I think of printer management at Zebra, the immediate solution I think of is PPME, which stands for Printer Profile Manager Enterprise. There you go. Try saying that quickly. And basically, this is our kind of trademark flagship printer management software. So there's loads of different tools on here that just really make managing your printers as simple as possible. So one example I like is tagging your printers. So every single printer you have on your network, you can associate a tag with it. So maybe all the printers that are in a certain office, you could tag with that office name. and all the printers in another country you could tag with another one. So this means you can easily target those printers. So maybe just for the printers in Spain, you wanted to send some certain firmware to, and the printers in the UK, you wanted to send some other firmware to.
Correct.
So if you tag the printers with the UK, you can target all the UK printers. You don't have to manually go through all the UK printers one by one and kind of basically address them. It just means you can group printers nice and easy. There's provisioning, which means you can automatically kind of start workflows. For example, you can say, when these printers turn on, send this image, send this firmware. You can do it on schedule. So at 3:30 tomorrow, send this file over. Or you can have it on repeat. At the beginning of the month, send the latest firmware, maybe for security reason. We want to do it on the first of every month. And I think this is just those nice automated workflows that kind of save times. You could have multiple user logins. So maybe you want some people to have just a view access to the printers, whereas your IT guys, you want to have admin access and they'll be able to kind of really do the deep dive technical stuff. Correct. And I think this is just some examples of why PPME is fantastic. Just all these nice features that make managing a printers a lot easier.
Right. You've got also some examples of how you can have this connection support, right? You're also cooperating with other companies which are also supplying this kind of service to complement the complete solution.
Absolutely. I guess a prime example there would be SOTI Connect. Yeah. So for the first time ever this year, so 2020, you can add Zebra printers to SOTI Connect.
Okay.
And I think the main example of working with third parties is it's not just Zebra printers that you can manage there. Obviously, I would love all the printers in the market to be Zebra there, but we know not every customer is going to have only Zebra printers.
Correct.
So using something like SOTI Connect, you can manage Zebra printers and other vendors as well. I think another example is SOTI Connect is not just printers. You can have other IoT devices like sensors, for example. So if you want to be able to manage not just Zebra printers, but a whole kind of ecosystem, an Internet of Things, SOTI Connect would be the way forward. Obviously, you're not going to have as much functionality as something like PPME, which is designed for Zebra printers. But if you want to kind of do a more kind of wider approach of just maybe general firmware updates and the kind of security management, the very simple things, SOTI Connect would be absolutely ideal.
Give us some key features of that tool. Some things which can be, let's say, feasible and understandable, for the partners who are eventually listening to this podcast.
Visibility. You'll be crazy the amount of people that don't know what printers they have in their organization.
Yep.
Printers are bought by lots of different people over many years. I think we make the joke at Zebra that our printers never actually break, so there's almost no need for a customer to buy a new one because it's still going.
Yeah.
They might have bought that printer 10-15 years ago. So using something like SOTI Connect is you can quickly have visibility into the printers that are there, and then you can start basically getting them up to date. Maybe they've got some really old firmware on. Maybe there's a printer someone didn't even know existed in the warehouse that was just not being used. You can have real-time alerts and actions. So you can see there and then when one of your printers is broken. Maybe the print head is finished on the printer. Maybe the door was opened by an IT technician but not closed again.
Correct.
Maybe the battery is dead on one of your printers, and you can get those kind of real-time updates. You can have single sign-on. So I think like PPME, you can have different kind of management level accesses because not everyone needs every feature. Maybe you have a new intern. You don't want them to be able to kind of destroy the whole system.
No. Absolutely true. Hey, Alex, but I mean, this is a kind of tool. This is a kind of technology, that most of people think could be only suitable, for big companies, when, you're talking about big park of, 10,000 printers here or there, or 500 printers in different countries. But let's face it, most of the market players are not that kind of customers. They are customers with maybe a little park of printers here in a corner of Barcelona or in a corner of Paris, So this is also a great solution for them, correct?
Absolutely. I think everyone would be beneficial, man. I think unless you've got the one printer where you can really kind of stay close to it, even if you've got 10 printers, which I think several organizations have, 10 desktop printers, that's not a very big investment at all, but you still want to be able to manage those 10 printers nice and easily. And I think what Zebra do to make it easy, and SOTI Connect is another example, is you can buy licenses of different sizes. Yeah. So I think licenses start at maybe 25 printers, and you can buy a nice cheap license to manage those 25 printers. If you want to manage thousands of printers, I think PPME goes up to 7,000 printers. You can buy a license for that. And you can keep buying little add-on licenses as well. So maybe if you start off with 25 printers and you buy another 10 further down the line, you don't have to like buy a whole new printer management kind of ecosystem, all the setup costs. You just add on the extra ones.
Yeah, that's clear, because I mean, not always also the kind of printer is the same, right? So you might be having a small park of printers, but they might be industrial printers. So you might need to have a better control of them, right? And I think this is also a key element here. Is like you can also mix different kind of printers, and you can manage the complete thing from one single platform.
Absolutely. And I think if we use PPME as an example again, mobile printers, desktop printers, industrial printers, and even some of our ZC card printers. So a completely different type of printing as well. And then if you're using obviously SOTI Connect, there's all different types of printers that all the other vendors in the market do as well. So I think the list goes on, and I think you can have complete flexibility. And for example, you could tag your tabletop printers with one tag, your mobile printers with another, and have very much control over them. So I think the list goes on what you can do here.
Yeah, it's great to have someone like Alex, Philip here. You know,
Definitely.
he's so excited about things. I mean, remember like weeks ago when we recorded one about the linerless? You know, I really wanted to start using linerless labels. You know, now I really want. I'm just eager now to get my management.
Of course. Yeah,
management
How are
tool.
you managing your printers?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me call the
That's the important
IT,
information.
the
Yeah.
IT people. You know, I think we should check that for sure. A few tips, you know, for the SMBs, for the small companies. You know, I mean, for the big companies, we know how it works. But I mean, where does it start? You know, do they need to talk to any specific team within Zebra? Do they need to talk to distribution? How does it start? I have a small park of printers. I want to go there. What is my first step?
So I think the first question I would ask is whether you want it in the cloud or on-premise. So on-premise means you're going to locally kind of run the day-to-day operations of it on your own kind of computers, your own IT system. In the cloud means you're going to be managing it remotely. It's not going to be your organization managing how it all works. And then from there, I would say, right, what cloud options do you have and what on-premise options do you have? And then from there, you'd obviously reach out. So for example, if you wanted PPME on-premise, you'd reach out to Zebra and we'd obviously be able to help you set you up in a system. There's obviously the stuff like security that you'd obviously have to kind of run through, but the general enrollment is not a difficult process. So just reach out to your local Zebra sales rep and they'll be able to give you kind of more details on this one. We've set up hundreds and hundreds of customers, so there's no reason why we couldn't set up a small business right up to a household name mega business.
Yeah, the most important, I think we also address this in different podcasts, you know, the most important, this is a very good reason for our partners, you know, to have something to talk, something to offer. Is a very good value add that they can offer to the customers. And this is why this is something that they should be promoting. You know, hey, you have something that your end users, your customers are going to be valuing. So don't waste any time. Go there as soon as possible. So, but Alex and Felipe, you know I like facts, right?
Yeah,
So,
pack of facts.
the famous pack of facts. So give me some facts. Let's measure this opportunity. Where is the market? How fast is growing?
When we did our last podcast, I know how much you loved your Paco facts. So I
Thank you.
searched far and wide for these statistics. So the printer management market is growing by around 18.8% every year, all the way till 2027. So that is absolutely massive in terms of these kind of market trends like this. And I wouldn't be surprised if after 2027, it continues to grow by even larger amounts. It's very much a go-to market trend right now. I think by the fact it's already growing by 18% every year shows it is already a massive trend right now. So it's something that the resellers listening to can very much get on board with right now. There is a demand for it.
How big is the market in that? How big is the growth expected?
So if you're probably looking at 2021, the market was around 1.98 billion, which is already absolutely crazy. Not even millions, billions.
Yeah.
It's staggering. It's estimated by 2029 that market is going to grow to over 7 billion, so 7.28 billion to be precise. Absolutely staggering,
It's massive.
staggering numbers. So everyone listening to this, be a part of that. That growth is not going to be just driven by your household names with thousands of printers.
Correct.
It's going to become even more accessible for your small and medium-sized businesses as well. Printing is going to become even more essential. The cost of printing is going to decrease. Printers are going to be even better at doing what they are today. Security is going to become an even bigger deal. Cybersecurity is already a massive kind of ongoing issue in today's kind of market in all parts of the kind of internet. It's only going to be an even bigger deal in the years to come. So get involved in that journey now. If you get started now, it's going to be so much easier when it's going to become almost essential. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point it's going to be a requirement that you have to manage your printers.
Okay.
Very much the way the market's going.
How is Europe positioned in that area? I mean, is Europe really the key market for this change?
In my opinion, there's kind of two main markets where it's really thriving right now. The obvious one is North America, predominantly the USA. They take up about 37% of the market of the kind of printer management world. And Europe is really closely following that number as well. So that's kind of just mainland Europe as a whole. There was already a lot of customers rolling out printer management of all sizes. And it's kind of thought that the emerging markets are going to probably be where the next opportunities are going to be coming from. So your countries that are less developed than, say, mainland Europe right now. So Africa, Middle East are the obvious two ones that I can think of. Maybe in 5 to 10 years' time that they're going to probably be seeing the demand that we're seeing right now in mainland Europe.
It will come. It's growing. It's growing in any single side of the business. So that's absolutely true. So I mean, even if, as you said, Europe is the second, let's say, biggest market for this, and that means it's still a good number
of
million of euros which are going to be spent. And this is, as you said, and this is critical, is really the proof that it's not going to be affecting only the big companies, but also the small and medium businesses are going to be there. And that's, I think, that's really the key message in here. All right. Hey, but this technology was totally or partially was existing already, for years, So what has changed, Why this technology was not developing so fast? Because in this moment it looks like going rocket, in the growth. So what has happened? What has been the inflection point?
So in my opinion, there's kind of two main reasons.
Yep.
Originally there was high maintenance cost and installation cost for printer management. Obviously, when it was a new thing, it was quite tricky to kind of get embedded into kind of companies' IT system. Right. It was a new thing. People didn't really know what should be kind of allowed, what shouldn't be allowed, trying to work through all those kind of security issues. But that's becoming much simpler and much easier now. And it's becoming far cheaper as well. So what costs would have been associated previously with installing printer management is far, far less now. And in the coming years, say by 2029, when we talked about the market being over 7 billion, it's going to be far less, if almost non-existent.
Correct.
And awareness. I think the fact that we're talking about printer management for the first time now, I think there was just a lack of awareness in the market before. People didn't even know you could manage a printer.
Correct.
It was just not a thought. People thought, perfect. I've got my computer set up to the network. That's all I need to do. But actually they're realizing, I can do more. We don't have to have an IT team in every single country working on the printers. And it's just when you start having those conversations, you realize those were slowing factors which are now starting to disappear.
Correct. I mean, so it is here and it is now. That is the moment really where the technology and the opportunity for the people is to be taken, And there is also one last thing I also want to touch, You mentioned, and I think we've been discussing this before, Felipe, you mentioned that also it's all about the information you get, on the printer, on your part, And this information is not only affecting the efficiency of your operations, it's also information which is telling you what your customer is doing, when is doing it, and how is doing it. And I think that's related to the big data scenario. That's also very, very valuable for any organization. And for sure, it's absolutely critical for any partner who wants to address new end users to know what the others are doing. So, I think that can also be one of the triggers in this technology.
Absolutely. Data is so valuable. All parts of our life, data, it's useful. So the more data you can have about your printers, the better you can run your organization, and the more smooth operations can be, and you can save more money, higher margins, and your organization's just going to go from step to step and thrive. So absolutely, don't just look at this a way of saving money or being more productive. See it as a way of new opportunities. Learn some data that you didn't even previously know about the way your operations work, and the results may be absolutely fantastic.
That's an absolute good takeaway to finish this podcast. So, hey, Felipe, you are the ambassador in a certain way, from Zebra within embedded, in Blue Star. I think you should be the one to take the lead and go to our warehouse and tell them, hey, maybe
definitely
we should do things in a different way.
Definitely. Data, as Alex mentioned, is it's key. It's really key. Absolutely. And learn about what is going on in our organizations can lead us to have a better and a more efficient process of working. So I think that printing management is really a tool to to bet on.
So again, as we experienced also with the labels, it's been very, very exciting. Thank you very much indeed, Alex. As I said before, I'm really eager. I cannot wait anymore to have a management,
to talk about this,
management printer system, right? So anyway, thank you very much, Felipe, for being
Thank
with
you.
us today. Thank you very much, Alex. It was very illustrating. What you have told us, I think there is a great opportunity in the markets on this, and thank you very much. We will be back very soon with more market insights and more interesting topics. Thank you.
Thank you.
Should we shake hands again?